out to the ball game, sung by Edward Meeker, Edison Rifle. Casey was baseball mad, had the fever and had it bad. Just two for the hometown through every stew. Casey Blue. On the Saturday, her young beau called to see if she'd like to go to see a show, but Miss Kate said no. I'll tell you what you can do. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jack. I don't care if I never get back. Let me root for the home team. If they don't win, it's a shame. But it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
All right. How about that old song, huh? Hey, Mom and Dad, how you doing? So your wonderful children want to take you down a little bit of baseball memory lane. We've been talking about it, and so we decided to put a couple stories together and share them with you. So it all starts back in, I believe, 1968 with the Detroit Tigers, all the way through the last 20 or 25 years with your Arizona Diamondbacks. So we're going to start oldest to youngest, and that leaves us with young Bill, reliving his first game that you ever took him to. I believe it was back in 1968. Young Bill has the memory of an elephant. Yes, Bill, I said memory. So Bill recalls you guys taking him to his first game, and obviously quite a great game. I guess Tommy John was pitching for the White Sox, I want to say. I believe it was the White Sox. And he recalls in the, I think, third inning, Tommy John was throwing a little chin music at Dick McAuliffe, and Dick McAuliffe took exception to that and actually charged the mound and ended up in a big brawl, and Tommy John, I guess, separated his shoulder and was out the rest of the season. A lot of us know Tommy John surgery. That was not what happened to his elbow. That's a totally different story. Anyway, so that's a pretty memorable game. But on top of that, Bill said in I think the 6th inning, Al Kaline and Willie Horton went back-to-back home runs, and I believe the Tigers ended up winning that game. However, on top of that, Bill then recalls in the 9th inning, some guy wearing nothing but a green bathing suit jumped into the field and was running around the outfield until the security could catch him and take him out. Hopefully that wasn't you, Dad. But anyway, so a lot of cool memories. That's quite a story from Bill. And I guess that year in '68, the Tigers actually went on and won the World Series. So pretty amazing stuff. If you can believe that, Bill also told me, and this is where I'm starting, that Sean actually went to a game with you guys in Arizona and caught the first major league home run hit by Coy Hill. And yeah, I don't know, it sounds a little far-fetched to me. But if it is true, I did a little research, and do you realize that Coy Hill actually played his collegiate ball at Wichita State? So yeah, quite interesting facts there. So moving on, continuing to talk about the Indians, the Tigers, the Indians. Sorry, Linda. Listen, Linda. Talking about the Tigers, Katie had a couple stories, and I think Katie took me to my very first Tigers game. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and she drove me to Flint. We were going to pick up Scott, and when we got there, we got to Scott's apartment, and Katie told me to stay in the parking lot while she went inside to get Scott. So I was in this parking lot, and I remember getting impatient, I don't know, nervous. So I got out to go follow her into the apartment. And next thing you know, I ended up in the wrong apartment, and I saw some pretty scary things. I think things that you only see in Flint, Michigan. And I was lost. I was scared. I was crying. And then I remember I can hear Katie screaming from the parking lot. So her and Scott got back to the parking lot, and I wasn't in the car, and she was obviously in a panic. Luckily, she was screaming, because that's how I found my way back to where she was. So that was a good start to the day, I guess you'd say. We then got to the game, and I remember we got to our seats, and I sat down next to this old dude, probably younger than I am now, but he was a big, loud, obnoxious drunk. He was spilling beer all over me and slobbering all over me, and I remember him saying, "If I catch a ball, I'll give it to you." Scott noticed my nervousness and was gracious enough to switch seats with me, and I still remember that. So that was good. After the game, like a typical 7-year-old, I saw a pair of wristbands, Detroit Tigers wristbands that I really wanted. And Katie said no because they probably cost $20 back then, which was the right decision. But of course, I was a spoiled brat, so I cried. And lo and behold, wouldn't you know, we're driving home and they pulled out a bag and they actually bought them for me. So I got to keep those sweatbands. And I remember I had them for probably about 20 years. Kristen probably threw them out recently. I remember that Detroit Tigers thing actually faded away. I wore them so much. So great memories from that. So thanks, Katie. Good times. Good times. Nancy then reminded me of a story that her and Katie did back in, I believe it was 1988. The sorry, Linda, the Tigers were good, obviously, and Nancy and Katie sent an article, or they wrote up something and sent it to Bob Talbert in the Free Press, and it actually got printed in the Free Press about the Detroit Tigers all-food team. So Talbert actually wrote it, and I'm going to read it to you. So hang on a second. So the article was called "These Tigers Should Meet at Home Plate," MEAT. And here's how it goes. Tiger and food fans Scott and Katie Ignatowski of Midland and Troy's Nancy Leahy have come up with the first Tiger all-food team. An outfield of Louis Salad Bar, Chet Lemon, Gary Lettuce, and an infield of Bob Evans, Lou Worcestershire, Tommy Cookins, and Alan Spammel, with Matt Cokes and Mike Heathbar catching. Starting pitchers are Frank Banana and Brandy Alexander. Dave Berger is the DH, and Mike Cinnamon's coming out of the bullpen. And then Talbot responded by saying, "Hey, gang, good game. And didn't we just sign Brad Lynn?" So that, I guess, is their claim to fame. As I'm reading this, something else that caught my eye that's pretty funny, and certainly not as funny as Nancy and Katie's article. But Talbot put in something called celebrity lookalikes, and I'm just going to show you real quick what he put in there. His celebrity lookalike is a picture of Nancy Reagan, and if you can see that, and a peacock. So I guess he thought they look alike. I mean, you talk about, fantastic journalism, right? All right, moving on. Diane talked about her baseball memories in typical Diane fashion. She got all nostalgic and was talking about when she was in medical school and they were studying and working so hard that they decided to go to a Tigers game. And one of their fellow med students had never been to a baseball game. So when they went to pick him up, they were laughing at him because he showed up wearing his baseball mitt. So they got to the game, and here's this 25-year-old man or whatever trying to blend in with all the other 8-year-olds running around with their mitt. But since they were poor med students, they couldn't afford good seats. They were sitting way up in the bleachers. And sure enough, during the game, foul ball way up there, and this guy snagged it. And Diane said it was just the most hilarious thing that he actually caught a ball, and said it was just the best day ever. So then she continued to talk and go on, and we kind of interrupted her and said, "Yeah, Diane, nice story. But not nearly as exciting as the time that you had the baseball bat and smash Eddie Baxter's head open in the middle of our front yard. I believe Eddie had to go to the hospital and get a bunch of stitches across his face, and that's a good story, Diane. That's the kind of beef we're looking for, so we're going to stick with that one." All right, now we move on to Dave. So Dave came up with something that relates back to me. If you guys remember, in grade school, my friend Mike Henton, I remember the very first day of kindergarten, Jeff Gandy walked up to Mike Henton and he said, "You need a nickname. I'm going to call you Honky." And from that day forward, we all called him Honky Henton, and that was his name. You can't make that stuff up. Leave it to Gandy, right? So anyways, Dave reminded me of a story, and I think it can best be shared in a poem. So I have a poem here that you've probably all heard of, if I can find it here. Let's see. Here we go. The poem is from Ernest Lawrence Thayer, and the name of the poem is "Casey at the Bat." I'm just going to read the last stanza. I'm sure you've heard it, but here's how it goes. "Oh, somewhere in this favored land, the sun is shining bright. The band is playing somewhere, and some where hearts are light, and some where men are laughing, and some where children shout. But there is no joy in Mudville, mighty Casey has struck out. Well, old Honky Henton had a similar experience in the 7-year-old T-ball league. He was on my team. I remember it very well. And once again, another famous poem was written. It didn't get as much credit as the one by Thayer, but it's still pretty good. But I'm once again only going to read the last stanza for you. And it goes like this. Oh, right here on the Adams Elementary fields, balls are getting blasted off the tee. Everyone is rounding the bases, and their hearts are full of glee. And all the kids are laughing. With joy, you hear them singing, suddenly interrupted by groans of disbelief. Honky Henton just struck out swinging. True story. Poor kid never lived it down either, or the name. Okay, now I have a couple memories of my own. I remember when Mom came to visit after Kaylee was born, so that would have been in 1999. And the Indians were really hot. They had actually a consecutive sellout streak of, I wrote it down here, 455 consecutive games from 1995 to 2001. They had sold out the stadium, but Mom really wanted to go to a game. So I managed to get some tickets, probably paid way too much for these tickets way up in the bleachers, but we got them out in right field. And it was a beautiful day, but it was hotter than blazes. It was probably 100 degrees out. And right field where we were sitting was direct sunlight the entire game. I remember like right as the game ended, the sun was finally getting partially blocked by the scoreboard, but we were just baking it all day long. And I'm thinking, oh, this is awful. Until I looked over and Mom had a big smile on her face and just having the time of her life. I mean, we really had a great time. It was actually a priceless day. So, I mean, not as priceless as Diane bashing Eddie Baxter in the head with a baseball bat, but nonetheless, it was a great experience for me and Mom. So I really loved that. But my favorite baseball memory is from 2001. A couple of us were visiting you guys in Tucson, and the Diamondbacks happened to be in the World Series that year against the New York Yankees. And I remember watching the game. It was Game 2. The Diamondbacks had won Game 1, but it was Game 2. In the second inning, Matt Williams grounded out to third. I think there was a couple guys in scoring position or something, and he grounded out to third. And I remember Dad just went into a tirade, that guy, he's such a bum. He's overrated. We overpaid for him. He's a loser. He never does anything good. He's a bum. He's going to single-handedly lose us the series and blah, blah, blah. Dad, I'm sorry, but sometimes you just get in those moods. And I remember saying, Dad, he's really not a bum. He's a pretty good player. He's a lifetime 270 hitter. I remember he played in Cleveland for a couple years, and he did real well. He hits about 40 home runs a game. Dad wanted nothing to do with it. That guy's a bum. He's a lousy bum. And that was it. So we're all like, okay, Matt Williams is a bum. Well, now I'm going to fast forward to the 7th inning when the score was 1-0 Diamondbacks. Okay, so Game 2, 7th inning. Williams was 0 for 2. Dad had just pretty much said he's the biggest bum to ever play. Diamondbacks are up 1-0, and up comes Matt Williams against Andy Pettitte.
You're ready. And the 0-1. And a high drive. There it goes. 4-0 Diamondbacks. Matt Williams a three-run homer. How about that? He crushed that ball. Matt Williams is a postseason player, and he acknowledges the crowd. You talk about a huge hit, folks. As Tom Brenneman would say, it don't get any better than that.
All right. So that happens. And of course, then what? Dad's running around the house going like this. Woo! Matt Williams is my favorite player! Matt Williams is my favorite player! Woo! A priceless moment. They won the game 4-0, and they ended up winning the series 7-6. I think they went up 2-0 after that game. New York came back. I'm sorry, 7-6, 4-3. New York came back and won the next 3, and then the Diamondbacks won the last 2 to win the series 4-3. So Fantastic, fantastic time. But I'll never forget. Matt Williams is my favorite player. Matt Williams is my favorite player. We had a lot of fun with that. We still do, obviously. So that's it, guys. That's some of the memories that we all had, and just want to thank you for being part of them and showing us your love of baseball, which I think you guys have more now than you ever did. But it started with the Tigers, and obviously now the Diamondbacks. So to share and to keep that spirit alive, your children want to give you a little bit of an early Mother's Day and Father's Day present, and we're going to renew your cable subscription to the Major League Baseball Network so you can watch all your Diamondback games again this year. You just got to elbow out Katie and Forrest when the Royals are on, so you don't have to watch those lousy Royals and can watch the Diamondbacks instead. So hope you guys enjoy that, and we will talk to you soon. See ya. One other thing I forgot is when I was about 15 or 16, I hadn't played baseball in a couple years, but I wanted to join a summer league. I didn't have a glove. The last glove I had didn't fit anymore, and I remember telling Mom or something, and Dad must have overheard me because I remember I got home the next day, and this mitt is sitting there on the counter from Dad. Went out and bought it and didn't even tell me. Still got it. This mitt is, I don't know, 30-some years old now, and I have had to re-stitch it because I used it so much. At one time I was playing catch with Will, and the ball went right through the webbing and hit me in the face. So I got new stitching in it, and I actually left it at one of Will's games last year, and I couldn't believe it. I was so upset that I had lost the mitt that Dad bought me over 30 years ago, and I put an email out, and some coach from a different team had it and took it home and got it back to me. So, yeah, so every time I put this on, Dad, I still think of you. And Linda, I'm sorry I called the Tigers the Indians once again. Listen, Linda.
Listen. Okay, what? Listen. Okay, what?
Oh, correction. Nancy Reagan does not look like a pelican. I'm sorry. Does not look like a peacock. She looks like a pelican. Pelican. And there's the article from Katie and Nancy. These Tigers should meet at home plate. So, quality stuff. Quality stuff. We're going to be in really big trouble when Mom gets home.
The sun came out today. We're born again. There's new grass on the field.
We're dead. We're dead.
It's a brown-eyed handsome man.
Oops.
Anyone can understand how to be
Center field. We're in big trouble. Big trouble when Mom gets home. Oh, one correction. The letter that Nancy and Katie sent to Bob Talbert was not 1998, it was 1988. Sorry for that. Yep, a pelican. Matt Williams is my favorite player! Matt Williams is my favorite player!